Lust is dangerous. It starts small, just a glance, just a thought, just one step in the wrong direction. But before you even realize, it's consuming your mind, your heart, and your soul. And here's a powerful truth most people never realize. Every desire has a price. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ warned us clearly, "I have not left behind a trial more harmful to men than the temptation of women." This isn't about blaming women. This is about recognizing that desires are one of Shaytan's strongest weapons to mislead us. Now, before we continue, let's clarify something crucial. When we say chosen ones, it doesn't mean only special people are selected by Allah, leaving everyone else behind. In Islam, the idea of being chosen isn't exclusive to specific individuals, except the prophets who were directly chosen by Allah. But for the rest of us, anyone can become beloved to Allah. The key to becoming special in the sight of Allah is clear. It's taqwa, sincerity, and protecting your heart from harmful desires. Allah clearly says in the Quran, "Indeed, the most honorable among you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous among you." This means being chosen isn't about your looks, status, or popularity. It's about your closeness to Allah through your actions and sincerity. Now, with this in mind, let's deeply explore the 5 painful prices that lust and uncontrolled desires can cost you, no matter who you are. Because once you understand these clearly, you'll realize exactly why taqwa and self-control are essential for everyone seeking Allah's love and protection. No. 1. Lust weakens the heart and soul. Lust isn't just a physical desire. It's a disease that eats away at the heart. It starts with something small, a harmless thought, a quick glance, a little curiosity. But over time it grows, spreads, and takes control. Before you even realize, your mind becomes restless. Your prayers feel empty and your connection with Allah weakens. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ warned us, when a believer commits a sin, a black dot appears on his heart. If he repents, it is removed, but if he continues, the blackness spreads until it covers his entire heart. Lust is one of those sins that slowly covers the heart until what was once pure becomes darkened, confused, and distant from Allah. And here's the worst part, you start feeling empty. No matter how much you chase desires, you lose the sweetness of iman, faith. Your du'as feel weaker, your salah feels robotic, and guilt slowly fades. Why? Because lust disconnects you from what truly nourishes your soul, your relationship with Allah. Allah warns us in the Quran, Surah Sad 36, "Do not follow your desires, for they will lead you away from the path of Allah." This is exactly why so many people today feel lost, anxious, and disconnected from their faith. They think fulfilling desires will bring happiness, but instead it leaves them feeling more empty than before. And the longer someone allows lust to take over, the harder it becomes to feel that deep connection with Allah. So before it's too late, protect your heart, because once lust takes root, the price is always greater than what you thought you'd pay. No. 2. Lust destroys self-control and discipline. One of the biggest illusions of lust is that it makes you feel like you're in control. You think, it's just a little desire, I can stop any time. It's just one glance, it doesn't mean anything. I'll just entertain it for now, but I'll change later. But the truth is, lust controls you more than you control it. The moment you give in to it, even slightly, your self-discipline weakens. You start breaking your own rules. You lose control over your thoughts, your time, and eventually your actions. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "A wise person is the one who controls himself and prepares for the hereafter, and the fool is the one who follows his desires and still hopes for Jannah." Think about that. Lust tricks you into believing you can have both, the pleasures of sin and the reward of Jannah. But in reality, the more you follow desires, the harder it becomes to control yourself in anything. Your focus disappears. You struggle to concentrate and excel. Your time gets wasted. You spend hours chasing temporary pleasures. Your willpower weakens. you start falling into more sins easily. And here's the worst part, lust never satisfies. It only makes you crave more, dragging you deeper into a cycle of temptation, regret, and spiritual weakness. Allah warns us in the Quran, Surah Al-Jathiyah 45, 23, 43. Have you seen the one who takes his desires as his God? This is what happens when lust takes over. It becomes an addiction, controlling your mind, your actions, and eventually your entire life. So, ask yourself, are you controlling your desires, or are your desires controlling you? Because once lust weakens your self-discipline, the price you pay is losing control over your own soul. No. 3. Lust destroys real love and relationships. In today's world, lust is sold as love. Movies, music, and social media push the idea that strong attraction means true love. But in reality, lust and love are not the same. Lust is temporary, selfish, and impatient. Love is pure, lasting, and built on sincerity. The more a person chases lust, the harder it becomes for them to experience true love. They become addicted to temporary excitement, never satisfied with one person. They treat relationships like entertainment, only staying as long as it benefits them. They lose the ability to commit because they always want something new. And here's the sad truth. Many marriages fall apart today because one or both partners are blinded by lust. They compare their spouse to unrealistic expectations, seeking perfection that doesn't exist. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, gave us a beautiful reminder. A woman is married for 4 things: her wealth, her lineage, her beauty, and her faith. Choose the one with faith, and you will be successful. This means true love isn't found in attraction alone, it's found in faith, sincerity, and patience. Yet lust teaches people to chase excitement instead of commitment, to objectify others instead of respecting them, and to seek constant pleasure instead of true emotional connection. And this is exactly why so many relationships feel empty, broken, and short-lived. Allah warns us in the Quran, Surah Isra 17:32, "Do not go near adultery, for it is an outrage and an evil path." Why? Because lust-based relationships never bring peace. They only bring regret, pain, and disappointment. If a person allows lust to take over, they might get temporary pleasure, but the price they pay is losing the ability to experience real, lasting love. No. 4. Lust leads to regret and guilt that never goes away. Lust promises pleasure, but what does it leave behind? Guilt, regret, and a heavy feeling inside that never truly fades. Because the reality is, lust only feels good in the moment. Once that moment passes, what's left? The guilt of knowing you crossed a line, the regret of betraying your own values, the fear of how far it might take you next time. And the most painful part? You can never go back and undo what's been done. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us, shame and modesty are from faith, but shamelessness leads to destruction. And in today's world, shame is disappearing. People normalize sins and call them just fun. They mock those who stay pure, calling them too strict. They ignore their guilt, convincing themselves that it's not a big deal, but deep inside that guilt doesn't leave. Allah tells us about this feeling in the Quran, Surah Al-Imran 3:13-5. And those who, when they commit a sin or wrong themselves, remember Allah and seek forgiveness. And who can forgive sins except Allah? This is the difference between a believer and someone lost in desire. A believer feels guilt and turns back to Allah, but a lost soul ignores guilt until their heart becomes numb. And that's the most dangerous price of all, because when guilt disappears, the path to destruction begins. So, before lust tricks you, before it makes you believe there's no harm in just one more time, ask yourself, is this moment of pleasure worth a lifetime of regret? Now 5. Lust blinds you from your true purpose in life. Lust doesn't just steal your time, it steals your purpose. You were created for something greater. Allah didn't place you on this earth just to chase desires, but that's exactly what lust does. It distracts you, consumes you and makes you forget why you're really here. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned us, "What I fear most for my ummah are the desires of their bellies and their private parts, and misguidance after misguidance." Why? Because lust is designed to make you forget everything else. Think about it. How many people waste years chasing temporary pleasures, only to realize, too late, that they have nothing real to show for it? How many miss their prayers, lose their peace, and destroy their focus just because they couldn't control their desires? How many think they have time to fix things later, but later never comes? Allah gives a powerful warning in the Quran, Surah Al-Jathiyah 45:23. Have you seen the one who follows his desires as his God? So Allah leaves him to his misguidance despite his knowledge. That means the moment lust takes over, your heart becomes blind. You stop thinking about Al-Qiyar, you stop valuing your time, you stop living for Allah, and you start living for your desires. And here's the most painful part. You lose yourself. You wake up one day and realize you're not the person you used to be. Your iman feels weak, your heart feels distant from Allah, your purpose feels unclear, and that's the biggest price of all. My dear brothers and sisters, lust is not just a desire, it's a test. And every test comes with two paths: the easy path where you follow desires without thinking of the consequences, and the harder path where you resist temptation, control your soul, and stay strong for the sake of Allah. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave us a powerful warning. Jannah is surrounded by hardships, and hellfire is surrounded by desires. That means the road to Jannah isn't meant to be easy, but every time you lower your gaze, control your thoughts, and walk away from temptation, you are choosing Allah over your desires, and that choice will never go unnoticed. Allah reminds us in the Quran, Surah An-Naziyat 79:40-41, "And as for those who feared standing before their Lord and restrained themselves from desires, then Jannah will be their home." So ask yourself, are you controlling your desires, or are they controlling you? Are you chasing temporary pleasure, or are you working for eternal happiness? Because in the end, no moment of lust is worth losing Allah's love. Make this simple dua today. Ya Allah, protect my heart from desires that distance me from you. Strengthen my soul, purify my mind, and make me among those who resist temptation for your sake. If this message touched your heart, comment below, Ya Allah, protect me from desires that lead me away from you. Your words might inspire someone else to fight their own battles. And don't forget, liking and subscribing costs nothing, but it helps spread reminders that bring us all closer to Allah. May Allah grant us strength, guide our hearts, and bless us with a life that leads to Jannah. Ameen.